Hey guys, welcome back for another Hearthstone video. In today's video, I'm going to be continuing my beginner's guide. This one, in the last beginner's guide, I went over a druid deck, and in this one, I'm going to go over a hunter deck. Now, first, let me start by saying this video is going to be aimed mainly directly at beginners, like the type of people who, before they start a game or right after they start a game, they look up videos to try to, help them start the game correctly. So if you've been playing this game for 2 months, this video might not help you a whole lot. It might. If you're struggling, it could for sure. But mainly it's at beginners. So when you're first beginning this game, you start out with just the mage character right here. And you have to play the computer a few times, and then you'll slowly unlock all the other characters, and then the more games you play, you'll level them up to level 10. Once you've leveled them up to level 10, you get all of their basic cards, which are cards that it gives you for free. Now, so when you first start this game, that's the first thing you're going to want to do. Even if you don't like a character necessarily, go ahead and do it, because while you're doing that, it gives you time to learn the basics of the game, learn some of the cards and how they work. So then you want to choose your hero, obviously. In this video, I'm going to be recommending Hunter. Hunter is huge in the meta right now. You're going to go up against lots and lots of Hunters, and the reason they're good, and this deck in particular, is extremely cheap to make. I'm not going to be showing you how to make the full meta version because that one is not super cheap. This deck that I'm going to be recommending is easily good enough to get you up to level 20, which is where, in the competitive side, that's where you start to lose stars as well, and it can get you up above that too once you learn how to play the game right. Now, if you've never played a card game, there's certain terms that you have to know. Things like, there's really three types of decks. You've got your aggro, which is all about just killing the other person as quick as possible. They usually spam out lots of low-cost minions, and then either power them up or just keep spamming them. So I'm not a big fan of aggro, but that's what I recommend for beginners because it's easy. You don't have to understand all the mechanics of the game to really play it, and it's cheap to make too. There's also mid-range, which technically that's more of what this hunter that I'm going to be showing is, but it's kind of like a mixture between mid-range and aggro. Mid-range is where you just kind of go with the flow, that you follow the mana curve pretty much. So on turn 1, you play a one cost if possible. Turn 2, you pretty much use up all your mana each turn. That way you keep up with the tempo of the game. And then there's control decks, which are all about just controlling the board. And in my opinion, they take like the most knowledge of the game and thought, because if you use your removal spells too early, then you can end up being screwed later. So now you can play whatever you want, do whatever's fun. That's the point of playing the game. Some people play to win, some people play just for fun. Do whatever you like, but yeah, I'm just trying to help out with something that's cheap. In the beginning, unless you're willing to spend money, you're not going to have a lot of... You can craft things with dust. So you go to crafting here. You'll have dust from, like, let's say I didn't want this card. I can disenchant it, and it's going to give me 20 dust. But it costs 100 to make it. So you don't want to go disenchanting things just because. Usually you want to wait until you have 2 of each card, because that's the max you can put in any deck. And then you can disenchant it. But if you can go to Top Hearthstone Decks, and I'll show that website in a second, or towards the end of the video maybe, but that website can tell you what's good to disenchant. You can read reviews on different cards and things like that. So if you guys need to know more, you can watch my first beginner, well, technically my second beginner's video, and find out some more. So this video doesn't get too long, I'm just going to jump into this particular deck. Now, this deck, the total cost of it is 3,080, but that's because I've got a legendary and another card that you could technically take both of out, especially for when you're first beginning, and it would only cost 1,080. And so now if you've got the dust or you've got the card, just go ahead and put them in there. Well, at least the legendary, because he is very, very useful. But I believe, especially before rank 20, this deck is good enough without the legendary. So the first thing here, Diarmol. He doesn't seem that good, but I promise you, his 3 health, and then once you do a couple of things, like if you use this on him and adapt him good, it's hard for people to take out early in the game. So there's two of those, 40 dust each. You've got Jewel Nakal, who gives you a random beast. Now sometimes that's going to be a really good one, sometimes that's going to be a crap one, but really it's just about getting a minion out there, and especially a beast, because this deck synergizes really well with beast. Spring Paw, this is the new card, so that's the other good thing about most of these cards in this deck. They're not rotating out anytime soon. So in Hearthstone, there's expansions multiple times a year, and then after that they rotate. The old expansions rotate out. In April, we've got 4 expansions rotating out, but this deck consists mainly of cards that won't be rotating. Headhunter's Hatchet, again, it doesn't seem all that great, but having the ability to attack for 3 different times, you can go face with it, you can use it to take minions off the board, very useful. It only costs 40. I only run 1, where a lot of people run 2, but that's up to you. Crackling Razor Maw, his ability to adapt to friendly beast is like way better than you would think it is. He only costs 40. I run 2 of those. Spring Paw I didn't finish talking about. He's got Rush, which means you can attack a minion on the turn he plays him. He pairs really, really well with this card, which is one of the most important cards in this deck. So you can rush and instantly die and power this guy up. Now, Hunting Mastiff, a lot of people don't run. I do, and you guys will see why in some of the matches I'll show. He's got Echo, so you can play him for as many mana as you have, and since he's got Rush, again, he powers up this guy. Revenge of the Wild, a lot of people don't run this in there, but it summons all the beasts that died. So if you play a couple of these, or when you play Unleash the Hounds, and then you bring them all right back, you can get your Hyena insanely powered up. Hyena, every single time a friendly beast dies, he gains +2/+1. It's huge. Animal Companion, a lot of people run 2 of these. I just didn't have room, so I run 1. You don't know what you're going to get. I mean, it's always worth a 3 mana, usually worth a 3 mana. You're either going to get a 4/2 with charge, a 4/4 with taunt, or a 2/4 that gives all your other minions +1 attack. And it's a beast, so it's good. Cave Hydra, almost nobody else runs. I like it because, especially up against a secret hunter who's played the Spellstone, he can take out, he damages the minions next to him. So if you power him up a little bit, give him 3 attack, he can take out 3 wolves at once. So that's why I run him. Deadly Shot, I'm not sure if this is run in most decks or not, but it pretty much, it's going to destroy a random minion for 3 mana. It's not bad. Kill Command is crazy important. Most people, you can use this to control the board to like take out a minion, but mainly most people save it until they can, and you can use it to attack. Like let's say that their hero has 20 health left, you can attack them with this at that point, put them down to 15, but you never know, they can heal themselves back up. Really, you want to use this when you've got what's called lethal, which means let's say they've got 7 health, you can hit them for 5 with this and 2 with your hero power and take them out. Spirit of the Lynx, not a lot of people play this, but it gives a beast +1/+1, so at the very least they're going to have to focus one of their removals or attack this minion instead of attacking your hero. It provides like a distraction at least, but really paired with Unleash the Hounds, you get 2 2s instead of 1 1s. That's big. Paired with that Mastiff, you get 3 2s instead of 2 1s. I think it's a big deal. Now, Untamed Beast, he's an epic. I put him in there. I didn't craft him for this deck. I had him already from a pack. That's why I put him in there. And when he does manage to draw and you get +2/+2, that's huge. Or at the very least, again, the opponent's going to have to focus on it. Vicious Fledgling, a lot of people don't run this, but again, they're either going to have to focus their removal, or if they don't and you attack face with this, which means hitting their hero directly, it's huge. He can single-handedly win games, I promise you. Dire Frenzy, not a lot of people run, but I think it's a real, pretty good card. It's, if you don't got a beast on the board, it's, you can't use it obviously, and it's 4 mana, but used with Vicious Fledgling or your Hyena, plus it puts 3 more into your deck, I think it's a really good card. Houndmaster, he's free, he's one of the basic cards, and he's very useful. Tundra, he's one of the most important cards in this deck. He gives your beast charge, so you can play Hyena and then attack directly on that turn. And then Deathstalker Rexar is the hero. He provides the legendary. He provides so much value. It's hard to even explain it. Now, if you're watching this video in January and you've got the card or you've got enough dust to craft it, it's not a bad idea, but he will be rotating out in April. So let's jump into a few matches and watch how it goes. So if you watch any of my other videos or my other beginners video, you'll know I'm all about making trades, which means using your minions to trade out their minions 99% of the time. But with this deck, unless you're trying to power up your hyena, you really want to go face, which is different than what I usually preach, but you can deal out so much damage. This deck gets most matches over, like this one, 4 minutes. Like literally, this deck, most matches are going to be really, really short. Um, for the mulligan, let me stop for a second. The mulligan's at your starting hand. You want to try to end up with Dire Mole. You want a perfect curve, you know. So you want a 1 mana card on turn 1, a 2 mana card on turn 2. So you want something like Dire Mole in your mulligan if you can. Razor Maul is another important one. Hyena, kind of important to have just so you can play him when you're ready to. Rexar, if you have him, is important. So just try to get low cost cards on the mulligan, which most cards in this deck are. Also, you got the full version of this, which has got the legendaries. So I've seen people playing this up in the legendary ranks. It can be a very, very, very good deck. He really messed up there, using a card that cost all of his mana. Bad move. If he gets his, this is a quest priest, and they have a, once they complete their quest, they get a card that costs 5, gives you an 8/8 with taunt, and puts your hero all the way up to 40 health, no matter what health you're at. And so it's a good deck, but if I lethal him before then, it doesn't matter. And there you guys can see why Dire Frenzy is so important. Or not, it's not so important, but why it can be a good card. Alright, let's watch the next one. Alright, so here we're going up against a Warlock, and it's one that, it's called Zoo. They like to put out a lot of minions, and I just outvalued him, really. You guys can see how my cards allow me to follow the curve perfectly. 1 cost on turn 1, a 2 cost on turn 2, a 3 cost on turn 3. I've got one for a 4 cost on turn 4, 5 cost on turn 5. Oh, and another thing, once you start to learn, really, if you've got 1600 dust, I personally would recommend just crafting a card called Whizbang. What it does is it gives you 18 decks that all are somewhat decent at least, and it allows you to learn the game and have a variety, so you're not playing the same deck all the time. And the cool part about it is that it, like with every expansion, they update the deck with cards from that expansion as well. And it's part of the Boomsday expansion, so that's going to rotate out in a year. But I heard they're thinking about moving it to the classic set, so that, you know, beginners always have something they can play. Here he just kills himself because he doesn't stand a chance. Alright, we'll go ahead and watch another. All 3 of these games were actually played in a row also, and you'll see we get a win streak from it. Win streaks can help you move up the ladder incredibly fast. Perfect mulligan. We're going up against an odd mage, so that's kind of bad because their hero power can deal 2 damage to anything they want. It can take out a lot of these low health minions. Including Hyena, who only has 2 health to start out, so I had to be careful. That's why I didn't play either of those there. The good thing is a lot of the odd mages' good cards are high cost. Divine Shield was perfect. That way you couldn't hero power it. I didn't know that I would get that, but um, it was worth a shot. At the very least, he's gonna have to waste his hero power to take it out. This is why I play Mastiff in mine. He's also cheap, only 40 dust cost. Again, without Rexar and Beastmaster, this deck only costs 1,000 dust, which is really, really cheap. And getting Wind Fury on that, it was just game over for him. Alright, so we'll watch one more. See, as you can tell, he had to waste the removal on that card instead of focusing on the other two. And playing Mastiff here wasn't getting the most value that I could out of it, but it allowed me to power up the Hyena and put a ton of pressure. Good play by him there. Really, this deck normally has a pretty good matchup against the Hunter. There's no point in wasting Razor Maw since he wouldn't have been able to adapt anything. And really, with how low their health was, I was holding them because I knew I might pull Kill Command and have lethal. I knew the only option he'd have to clear that's Duskbreaker, and he'd have to clear his own minions to do that. And sure enough, I pull lethal next turn. Alright, so I have a few more videos of this, but this video, or a few more matches of this I could show, but this video is plenty long enough. I don't want to, I'm not going to waste time in, making this video longer to show top Hearthstone. I'll just provide a link in the description. If you guys have any questions about this deck, ask away. If you want, you can add me. My name is Cody Bird, just like my YouTube name. We can play matches together. I can help you learn how to play the game. I'm down to do any of that to help you out. But other than that, keep an eye out. I'll try to come out with more videos showing this. I'll see you back next time.